Hey guys, Rob Cushing here from the BetterClaim.com music blog, and I'm here with part two of the series on getting the most out of your studio speakers in your recording studio. Okay, which part one we talked about speaker placement. Okay, and by the way, before we go, as always, if you find this video of any value, you have any questions about what I've talked about or what it is I do for my business, etc., feel free to drop me a line. I have my contact info in there as well. Okay. And also, I'm referencing an old set of blog posts that I posted in my blog, and I've included the original link to that as well, so you're welcome to read along and follow along too. Okay, so part two of getting the most out of our studio speaker setups. So like I said in part one, we touched on the importance of speaker placement, including like where to set up and how to set up and the immediate results and like doing so. So in this post, in this article, let's discuss another important feature, okay? One which I actually wasn't in tune with, no pun intended, until I was informed about it recently. And that is how to calibrate your speakers with reference tracks, okay? So now what exactly are reference tracks? Basically, a reference mix is any mix that's been recorded by a professional in a top-notch studio setup and environment, okay? In other words, it's like a benchmark for the mix that you want to strive for in your studio, okay? And basically, all too often, all too often, we listen to our own mixes so much that we fail to set a level of quality for ourselves after a while. We fail to set a level of quality for ourselves by referencing a great mix to go off of, okay? And when you're listening to this pro mix, aka reference track, out of your speakers, the one thing that you want to be listening for during that playback is not how good it sounds, okay? But anything of note that sounds bad, okay? So that's like where my previous video about speaker placement comes into play, okay? And it could be a change of environment for you as well. Like, so here's an example. So some months ago, I just had my home studio rebuilt in a brand new contained room, okay? Previously, I'd been used to recording and playing in like this semi-finished larger area. And so as a result, my environment changed as a result, okay? And as a result, my sound output had changed, okay? Now, in the past, I would have freaked out, and I would have spent weeks readjusting this and that based on what I had in my head, and I would have never gotten that optimal sound that I wanted, okay? And what I failed to see before, and what I now pay close attention to, was this. So a few things. Number one, I never realized that any change in my studio environment demanded a change in my setup. You know, so I would still be trying to work off of like a sound configuration from a previous location instead of trying to tweak for the new one. Didn't make any sense, right? So the second thing was I needed to center my sound setup based on my speakers being placed first and the rest of the equipment afterwards, rather than the other way around. The third was I had to ensure that my speaker setup was positioned in the center of one of the walls of the studio, preferably a narrower one. You know, I'm talking about all this part one stuff we're talking about here. Four, it was absolutely key to make sure that I didn't have the speakers in the room corners, and I had to make sure that my subwoofer was placed away from the wall and furniture, so to give that bass the air room that it needs. And then five, what this video focuses on, that I need a reference track. I needed a reference track or a known, like, good pro mix to play through and determine what still sounds out of place, you know, and keeping in mind that I'm working from a home recording studio and not like some LA professional recording location in LA, right? Now, when I moved my studio to a new area, um, when I move my studio to like a new area, like once my physical setup is done, like if I'm traveling or whatever, and I bring like a little portable setup with me, first thing I do is I play that reference track, and I listen to anything that might seem off. So anytime that I change environments, it's the first thing I do now is I play that reference track, and I listen to anything that might seem off, like, you know, maybe the bass isn't up as front as it used to be, or I don't have enough high end. Okay, so those types of intricacies tell you what's wrong. And when you reach that point that you need to make some adjustments, here's what I would do. Okay, three things. Number one, readjust the speaker positions for your speakers or your subwoofer till like you get some better sound. Okay. Number two, after you've done as much of physical adjusting as you can, okay, you want to try configuring any EQ or tone controls that you have for your speakers, okay? And then listen back to that reference track again and see what the results the changes have made, and then repeat that until you're satisfied, okay? And number three, if that still doesn't work, you might require some further adjustments to the physical portion of your room, maybe like acoustic treatments, or even like the assistance of like a music recording suite plug-in, like, you know, and I'll cover those in the other forthcoming videos as well, okay? And I have in those blog posts too. So one last thing here, okay? Don't worry about trying to get every last detail sounding perfect, okay? Odds are that you're in a home recording environment, you're not going to reach 100% of what you want. And that's okay. The important thing is to make sure that these adjustments, as you go to them constantly, okay? And by doing that, you increase the quality of your sound, okay? It's a learning experience, guys, okay? But it's one you should make along the way while you're taking continuous and massive action, not by learning first and then doing, okay? So that's all for this series, okay? Two quick things before we leave off and continue on to the next video. A few things, actually. I hope you found this of value. Reach out to me, my contact information, with any feedback you have in this video, any questions about what I do in my business, what I do, what I've talked about here, okay? Be glad to talk further. The next thing is, you know, if you're going to take massive action, you need to take from moving your music and tradition, you know, or business, whatever, get along. Get with me, okay? And you could do that by going to www.plugplayandlive.com. That link is below there, okay? You're going to find out more about my business and how to do exactly that, and how I took the same steps to break away from like the confines of the corporate job and to chase what I wanted most, which is my love for music. And finally, as a bonus, I do have a link in there as well, but if any of you guys, musicians, are interested in learning how to get cash back for the music gear that you're already buying from places like Samash, online, Musician's Friend, Guitar Center, Apple, any of those places, like if you want to find out how to get cash back on stuff that you're already buying anyway from places online, you're buying it anyway, let's talk, okay, because I have a great deal for you. So message me through my contact information below, okay, and we'll talk further. So once again, my name is Rob Cushing from the Better Clay Music Blog. Hope you found this information of value. We're going to move on to the next series, video in this series on how to get the most out of your speakers in your studio. All right, thanks guys, take care.